What's going on, guys? This is Jacob with Bulldog Analytics, and today I want to present on time intelligence DAX functions. Now, I don't want to do this from like a hyper theoretical kind of point of view. I want to do this from a very practical point of view so that you can get up and running with calculations such as month to date, year to date, prior month to date, prior year to date, prior year totals, month over month, year over year, etc. Now, I'm obviously going to include some considerations and call out some basic theory, nothing too crazy, but I'm hoping that this presentation will be very short and that you can basically walk away seeing how I do this, or at least get started and be able to do it yourself and replicate it in your report. That being said, I probably will create a sister video of sorts that will dive deeper into time intelligence because it is a pretty vast topic in the DAX Power BI world, and we can kind of break down more of the theory and that sort of thing there. But the biggest hope for today is that you can walk away and very quickly implement these calculations or these techniques in your own reporting. So with that being said, let's go ahead and get started. All right, guys, as you can see, I've got an example on my screen here. This is kind of a basic model. Ignore all the extra tabs on the bottom. I use this for training from time to time, but you'll see that I've just got some categories listed down here. These are product categories. It's a very basic sales model. If we look at the model view, these are basically the tables that we are concerned with. We've got a sales fact table with the order details, a ship date table, and then some product details in the product and categories tables. So the model is actually bigger, but these are the ones that I've exposed for this presentation. So basically, we want to present for each of these categories. The categories are the calculations I mentioned in the intro: month to date, year to date, prior month to date, prior year to date, prior year total, and then some month over month, year over year calculations. So we're gonna just kind of try to keep this high level, but get into the weeds where need be, just to kind of provide some context if it's super confusing. But let's go ahead and dive in. So as you'll see here, I've got a filter included on month year, and this is kind of my approach. I like to filter on month year, and then basically you see here it's filtered for February 2025. So a month to date calculation would obviously return February 2025 totals. Year to date would include January and February 2025. Prior year to date would be January, February 2024, so on and so forth. So that's kind of my approach and how I like to filter it. Another more dynamic approach would be if this was defaulted to always be filtered on the prior period or even the current period. And I've got a solution in another video I've done. It's actually my most popular video. Please go check that out if you want to take that approach. For today's presentation, what I'm doing here is fine, but if you want to make this kind of stay up to date where the end user doesn't have to go in and manually change the year month filter, or you as the report developer don't want to have to constantly be changing it and saving it, please take that advice. But today, this will do fine. So let's go ahead and start with our measures development. So I'm going to create a measures table real quick. We'll just call it measures table, load, and let's go ahead and click new measure. And then the first measure that we're going to create is just a total orders with a $sign. And this is simply going to be a sum of, I believe it's actually called total sales, but we'll call the measure total orders. And this is in the order details table. So go ahead and click enter, and let's go ahead and delete this column 1 that was created automatically when we built that measures table. All right, now that that's done, it's moved it to the top because this is a measures specific table, and we can go from here. So let me go ahead and click new measure, and we're going to go ahead and create our first time intelligence measure. So this is going to be month to date orders, and we're going to do a calculate function. We're going to reference that total orders measure we just created, and then we're going to have that calculate over the table function dates month to date, which will automatically basically create a table of dates that encapsulate what month to date is based on the report filter context and stuff. So it basically is going to be just February dates there. Now, if I were to drag in both of these, you'll see that they match one-to-one, and that's because we are filtered on February 2025. So whether it's the total orders or the month to date orders, we're only looking at February 2025. So it doesn't really differentiate there, but you will see it come into play here in a second. Now let's go ahead and remove the total orders. And I actually want to add just kind of a reference over here. All right, so our reference, we're going to do month, year right here, and we're going to make this to where it does not have an interaction with the filter. And we're just going to filter this down to, here, let's put year in here. And we'll just do it for the last 2 years, 2024, 2025. And then we're just going to use what? Cleaning and sanitary products as like our reference. So category, where did it go? Up here, cleaning and sanitary products. And then we'll just bring in total sales kind of as a reference, so that we can see if the stuff calculating over here actually totals up to the stuff calculating over here. So you'll see that right now it's saying month to date for cleaning and sanitary products is 448,957, and that's what we see right here as well. So I'm just going to kind of leave this over here as a reference, but let's go ahead and move on to our month to date calculation. So we'll do new measure, we'll call it orders year to date $, and we'll do another calculate function. This time we're going to reference again the total orders measure, but instead of dates month to date, we're going to do dates year to date and reference that ship date column. Now let's just, for the sake of consistency, year to date orders. All right, drag that in. All right, now we've got for the cleaning and sanitary products 828,431. So that's going to be, and again, we're selected on February 2025, so it ignores this March number, and it basically just adds these two up right here, January and February, and that looks reasonable based on the quick arithmetic I just did in my head. That is 828,431. All right, let's create now our prior month total measure. So this is going to be, I mean, some people will say like prior month to date. I don't know. I'm just going to do prior month orders, $. Prior month to date makes it sound like a partial month, so I'm not going to do that. Prior month orders, and we're going to do a calculate. And for this one, we are going to actually reference our month to date orders, but instead of iterating that over the dates month to date, I want to basically move back the context that is contained within this measure that I'm referencing here, and I'm going to call that previous month. Now there's options for days, quarters, years. We'll talk about some of that here in a second, but I just want to look at previous month. And again, it calls out, or it asks you which date field to use. Now, if I drag that in, you'll see that for cleaning and sanitary products, it's 379,474, which is January 2025, 379,474, which is the previous month as of our month selected here. Boom, awesome. Let's go ahead and reorder that just so that it makes a little bit more sense. All right, now for, let's do previous year to date, or prior year to date, whatever you want to call that. So oftentimes I will do either LYTD for last year to date or PYTD. I'm going to do PYTD orders $ equal calculate. Again, because it's a year-to-date calculation, I want to make it match the same time frame that's calculating within the year-to-date orders, but just move it back a year. So in this instance, I'm going to select year-to-date orders. Now, if I were to use that previous year option, that would calculate it for the entire previous year available, and that's not what I want to do. What I want to do is make it look at the same period, but just last year. So ship date, close parentheses, close parentheses. Now, if I drag that in, you'll see for cleaning and sanitary products, 713,141. If you add those two up, that's exactly what that is, January to February of 2024. Perfect. All right, now we talked about prior full year calculation. We're going to use that previous year function that we just talked about. Prior total year orders equals calculate. We can reference our year to date. Well, how about instead of referencing our year to date, because of the filter, we can just reference our total orders $ and then use that previous year function, reference the date once more, close parentheses, and let's drop this in there and see what happens. All right, just based on the total, it looks very reasonable. So if I were to come in here and just real quick filter this down to only 2024, you will see that for the cleaning and sanitary products, 4914, 4914, perfect. So looking good there. And now that we've kind of got, most of the basics created, the easy part in terms of time intelligence functions is now just creating the month over month year over year. Oh, you know what? One more I wanted to do was prior year month to date. So we'll do prior year month to date orders dollars equals. So this is going to be calculate, and then we're going to do our month to date. And then similar to how we did the same period last year for year to date, we're going to do same period last year for that, reference the ship date. And then this will basically give us the February 2024 value. So we'll move that up close to some of these other ones. So prior year month to date, maybe we'll put it right there. So now you'll see, again, we're looking at cleaning and sanitary products. We've got 312,000. That's what this is filtered to over here, 312,000, boom. All right, I think we're good now with this reference point. I'm gonna go ahead and delete that and break this out a little bit more so we have some more room for our additional calculations. So let's do a quick year over year calculation, and then I'll just leave it at that, and you can apply it to the month over month, either month over month or month over month, current year versus prior year, however you want to do that. So for year over year, this is pretty simple, but we're basically going to do year to date minus prior year to date, right? That's a very simple calculation, and we're going to put that in between year to date and prior year to date. So you'll just kind of see the changes, and you can apply some conditional formatting to this and that sort of thing. But I think the really telling measure here would be the year over year percentage. And we'll do a divide function. And so basically a year over year calculation would be current minus prior divided by prior. So you can kind of see that percentage change. So I want to do, it would basically be year to date minus prior year to date. So that's our year over year measure. And then we want to divide that by prior year to date. And then that'll be a percentage. And I'll just put that next to year over year. So you can kind of see how things are moving year over year. You know, cleaning and sanitary, we're up over 16%, whereas printer paper, we're down 1.27%. So that's it, guys. Like, I wanted to keep this pretty straightforward today. We'll get into some of the theory at another time, and there's a lot of resources out there that I highly recommend. I'll put those in the description, but I think this should get everyone up and running, and I highly recommend coupling this approach with kind of my dynamic year-month filter approach video, where you can just automatically apply like current month filter or prior month filter so it stays up to date. Anyways, go ahead and subscribe, share with your friends, and more to come. See you in the next video.